Discussion on verses 1 to 26 of 26. This chapter begins by inviting people to reflect upon the Day of Judgment and its various overwhelming realities. Chapter 88 Ghashiyah, verse 1.
Has there reached you the report of the overwhelming event?
The Day of Judgment is an event that must occur. When a person reflects upon the universe, they observe countless examples of perfect balance woven into every aspect of creation. The Earth, for instance, is positioned at a precise and balanced distance from the Sun. If it were even slightly closer or further away, life as it is known would not be possible. Similarly, the water cycle, where water evaporates from the oceans, rises into the atmosphere, condenses into clouds, and returns as rain, is perfectly regulated to sustain life on Earth. The ground itself is created in a balanced manner, soft enough for fragile shoots to penetrate and grow into crops, yet firm enough to support the weight of mountains, cities, and towering structures. These and many other examples clearly indicate not only the existence of a creator, but also the presence of deliberate balance in his creation. Yet there is one major aspect of this world that is clearly unbalanced: the actions of human beings. One frequently observes oppressive and tyrannical individuals who escape punishment in this world. Conversely, countless people endure oppression, hardship, and injustice without receiving their full reward for patience and perseverance. Many Muslims who sincerely obey Allah, the Exalted, face difficulties and trials, receiving only a small portion of their reward in this life, while those who openly disobey Allah, the Exalted, often enjoy worldly luxuries and comforts. Just as Allah, the Exalted, has established balance in all aspects of creation, the reward and punishment of human actions must also be balanced. Since this balance is not fully realized in this world, it must necessarily occur at another time, namely, on the Day of Judgment. Allah, the Exalted, could fully reward and punish in this world, but one of the wisdoms behind not doing so is that He grants people opportunity after opportunity to repent sincerely and correct their behavior. His mercy delays punishment so that hearts may soften and return to Him. Likewise, He does not grant believers their full reward in this world because this world is not paradise. Furthermore, belief in the unseen, particularly the unseen reward awaiting the believer in the hereafter, is a fundamental aspect of faith. In fact, belief in the unseen is what gives faith its true value. Believing in something that can be perceived through the five senses, such as receiving full reward in this world, would not carry the same spiritual significance. Fear of full punishment in the hereafter, and hope in receiving complete reward, encourage a person to abstain from sins and perform righteous deeds. These two forces, fear and hope, work together to guide the believer toward obedience, humility, and sincerity. For the day of recompense to commence, this material world must come to an end. Punishment and reward can only be given once every person's actions have concluded. Therefore, the day of recompense cannot occur until the actions of humanity have ceased, which indicates that the material world must inevitably end, sooner or later. Chapter 45 Ghashiyah, verse 22.
For Allah created the heavens and the earth for a purpose, so that every soul may be paid back for what it has committed. And none will be wronged.
When a person reflects upon this discussion, their faith in the Day of Judgment is strengthened. This, in turn, encourages them to prepare for it by using the blessings they have been granted in the correct manner, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Through this preparation, they attain peace of mind and success in both worlds by achieving a balanced mental and physical state, and by correctly placing everything and everyone within their life. But because practically preparing for one's accountability often contradicts the worldly desires and ambitions of people, many persist in rejecting or ignoring this responsibility, even if they verbally claim belief in it. Their attitude prevents them from attaining a balanced mental and physical state, and it causes them to misplace everything and everyone within their life. As a result, every aspect of their existence, family, friendships, career, wealth, and even moments of comfort, gradually becomes a source of stress and agitation. When they continue to disobey Allah, the Exalted, they begin to blame the wrong things and the wrong people for their distress, directing their frustration toward innocent individuals, such as their spouse or close companions. When they remove these good influences from their lives, their instability only deepens, leading them further into emotional turmoil, until they eventually fall into depression, substance addiction, or even suicidal tendencies. This outcome is clearly observable when one reflects on the lives of those who persistently misuse the blessings they have been granted, including many among the wealthy and famous. Despite their worldly luxuries, they often experience profound inner emptiness, fractured relationships, and destructive habits. Their material comforts cannot compensate for the imbalance created by their disobedience. And because their attitude prevented them from preparing for their accountability on the day of judgment, their punishment in the hereafter will be far worse. Chapter 88 Ghashiyah, verses 2-7.
Some faces that day will be humbled, laboring, toiling. They will enter to burn in an intensely hot fire. They will be given drink from a boiling spring. For them there will be no food except from a poisonous thorny plant, which neither nourishes nor avails against hunger.
One of the main reasons why elements of the hereafter, such as the Day of Judgment and Hell, are described with such vivid detail in Islamic teachings, is to eliminate the false beliefs adopted by previous nations, who belittled these realities and even turned them into objects of mockery. Their dismissive attitude was rooted in wishful thinking, whereby people persisted in disobeying Allah, the Exalted, while falsely assuming that they would still attain salvation in both worlds. Such false assumptions took many forms: reliance on the intercession of a righteous person without personal reform, the belief that a mere verbal claim of faith would suffice for salvation, the presumption that excuses and repentance would automatically be accepted on the Day of Judgment regardless of one's deeds, and the notion that the punishments of the hereafter would be no more severe than worldly punishments. These misconceptions created a false sense of security that encouraged complacency, negligence, and spiritual decay. In order to eradicate these dangerous illusions, Islamic teachings present the realities of the hereafter in detail, so that people may grasp their seriousness and prepare accordingly. The purpose of these descriptions is not to instill despair, but to awaken hearts to the truth, and to encourage practical obedience to Allah, the Exalted. This obedience entails correctly utilizing the blessings He has granted in ways pleasing to Him, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. By internalizing these teachings, a person is safeguarded from complacency, shielded from false hopes, and guided toward a life of sincerity and accountability. Through this, they ensure safety from punishment and success in both worlds by achieving a balanced mental and physical state, and by correctly placing everything and everyone within their life. Chapter 88 Ghashiyah, verses 8-9.
Other faces that day will show pleasure. With their effort they are satisfied.
When people attain any form of worldly success, they naturally experience a sense of satisfaction for the effort they invested in achieving it. For example, a university student often feels deep fulfillment after completing their degree, as they reflect on the long hours of study, sacrifice, and perseverance that led to that achievement. In general, the greater the goal, the more profound the feeling of satisfaction that follows its attainment. In the same way, those who are granted paradise in the hereafter will experience a far greater and more lasting sense of fulfillment for the efforts they made during their lives on earth. This satisfaction is not temporary or limited like worldly happiness, rather it is complete, pure, and everlasting. Significantly, this feeling of contentment is among the first qualities mentioned when the people of paradise are described, indicating its importance and central place in their reward. This reality should encourage every person to reflect deeply on the level of satisfaction they wish to experience on the Day of Judgment. Just as people willingly strive, sacrifice, and remain patient for the sake of temporary worldly achievements, they should be even more motivated to strive for the eternal satisfaction of the hereafter. The comparison makes it clear that it is not logical to invest so much effort for something temporary, while neglecting that which is everlasting. Therefore, if a person truly desires to experience this ultimate satisfaction, they must work towards it through sincere obedience to Allah, the Exalted. This obedience is not limited to acts of worship alone, but includes using every blessing they have been granted, such as time, health, wealth, and relationships, in ways that are pleasing to Him. This is achieved by following the guidance laid out in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. In essence, just as worldly satisfaction is a direct result of effort and commitment, the eternal satisfaction of the hereafter is also a result of sincere striving. The one who prepares, sacrifices, and remains steadfast will taste a level of fulfillment that surpasses anything experienced in this world. Chapter 88 Ghashiyah, verses 8 to 16.
Other faces that day will show pleasure. With their effort they are satisfied. In an elevated garden, wherein they will hear no unsuitable speech. Within it is a flowing spring. Within it are couches raised high, and cups put in place, and cushions lined up, and carpets spread around.
After discussing the realities of the two destinations in the hereafter, Allah, the Exalted, invites people to reflect upon aspects of creation as clear signs of His oneness and ultimate authority, demonstrating that He alone must be obeyed at all times in order to attain the correct abode in the hereafter. Reflection on creation serves as a means to understand divine wisdom, order and balance, which far surpasses the reach of human knowledge or natural processes alone. While some may attempt to attribute the diversity of life to evolution, it is important to understand that evolution, by its nature, relies on mutation and random change, processes that are inherently imperfect and inconsistent. Yet, when one observes the natural world, it becomes evident that every species is created with precise balance, enabling it to thrive perfectly within its environment. The camel, for example, is designed to endure scorching heat and survive long periods without water, perfectly adapted to life in the desert. This precise design demonstrates intentionality and knowledge beyond the reach of random processes. Chapter 88 Ghashiyah, verse 17.
Then do they not look at the camels, how they are created?
Similarly, the goat is created with an extraordinary mechanism that ensures the purity of the milk it produces. Within its body, impurities are completely separated from the milk, so that what is provided for human consumption is clean, wholesome, and nourishing. This intricate balance within its biological system could not be explained by chance alone. Chapter 16 and Nal, verse 66.
And indeed for you in grazing livestock is a lesson. We give you drink from what is in their bellies, between excretion and blood, pure milk palatable to drinkers.
Beyond individual design, Allah, the Exalted, has granted each species a specific lifespan and reproductive pattern to maintain ecological balance. Flies, for instance, have a lifespan of only 3 to 4 weeks, yet lay hundreds of eggs, ensuring that their population is moderated by the brevity of life. Conversely, animals with long lifespans typically produce only a few offspring, preventing them from overwhelming other species. This deliberate system ensures the harmony and sustainability of life on Earth, a balance that random mutation or natural selection alone cannot explain. Such observations of creation illustrate a meticulous order and purpose that point directly to the Creator, who alone possesses knowledge, power, and wisdom to design life in perfect equilibrium. Every adaptation, lifespan, and biological mechanism reflects divine precision, demonstrating that the world is neither accidental nor self-sustaining without oversight. Through contemplation of these signs, people are reminded of their dependence on Allah, the Exalted, and the necessity of obeying Him in order to obtain peace of mind in both worlds, through obtaining a balanced mental and physical state, and through correctly placing everything and everyone within their life. When constructing even a simple building, careful thought and planning are required to ensure stability and safety. Pillars must be placed strategically, foundations must be measured precisely, and every component must support the others in perfect balance. Without such planning, the structure would collapse or be unsafe to inhabit. If this is true for something as limited and straightforward as a human-made building, it is inconceivable to suggest that the heavens and the earth, vast, complex, and perfectly ordered systems, came into existence by accident. The balance, precision, and harmony observed in the natural world, from the movements of the planets to the cycles of day and night, the rotation of the earth, and the delicate ecosystems sustaining life, cannot occur without meticulous planning and design. Any accidental creation would inevitably be flawed, unstable, or chaotic. Yet the universe exhibits flawless order and remarkable precision, clearly pointing to deliberate construction by a conscious, all-wise designer. This reality underscores the sovereignty and power of the Creator, Allah, the Exalted, whose knowledge and wisdom encompass everything, visible and hidden. Just as a skilled architect plans every aspect of a building to ensure its safety, Allah, the Exalted, has planned the universe with perfect accuracy, ensuring that all elements function in harmony. Reflection upon this truth reinforces the necessity of recognizing His oneness, obeying His guidance, and placing trust in His wisdom, as the entire cosmos stands as a living testament to His creative mastery. Chapter 88 Al-Ghashiyah, verse 18.
And at the sky, how it is raised.
Mountains play a multifaceted and vital role in maintaining the balance and functionality of life on Earth, showcasing the precision and care of Allah, the Exalted, in creation. They are not merely elevated landforms but serve as stabilizers, natural water regulators, climate moderators, and ecological guardians. Chapter 88 Al-Ghashiyah, verse 19.
And at the mountains, how they are erected.
And chapter 16 An-Nahl, verse 15.
And He is cast into the earth firmly set mountains, lest it shift with you.
First, mountains act as pegs that stabilize the earth, preventing excessive shifting and creating a stable environment for human habitation and ecosystems to thrive. Without this stability, the spinning and dynamic nature of the earth would make life unpredictable and inhospitable. Second, mountains play a central role in the water cycle. They capture rainfall, purify it, and gradually release it into rivers and streams. This provides a consistent source of fresh water for human consumption, agriculture, and the survival of animals. Snow-capped mountains, for example, act as natural reservoirs, storing water during colder months and releasing it slowly as snow melts, ensuring a steady flow of water throughout the year. Third, mountains influence climate and weather patterns. They act as barriers that control wind flow and precipitation, creating microclimates that allow diverse ecosystems to flourish. For instance, the windward side of a mountain receives abundant rainfall, supporting forests and fertile lands, while the leeward side may remain dry, contributing to desert ecosystems. This precise arrangement ensures the distribution of resources across different regions. Fourth, mountains contribute to biodiversity. Their varied altitudes, temperatures, and climates create multiple ecological niches, allowing countless species of plants and animals to thrive. Many species are uniquely adapted to specific mountainous environments, which would not exist without these natural formations. Fifth, mountains are also rich in minerals and resources. They store essential elements that humans extract for construction, technology, and sustenance, while their soils, formed over millennia, provide fertile grounds for agriculture in surrounding plains. In all these ways, mountains exemplify the wisdom, knowledge, and power of Allah, the Exalted. Their presence is integral not only for physical stability, but also for ecological balance, the provision of water, climate regulation, biodiversity, and the support of human civilization. They are a constant reminder of the deliberate and meticulous planning behind creation, inviting reflection, gratitude, and recognition of Allah's oneness and authority over all things. The land on earth demonstrates a remarkable balance, carefully designed to meet the needs of its inhabitants. It is spread out in a manner that allows people to make productive use of it, such as cultivating crops, while simultaneously providing stable areas suitable for building settlements. Chapter 88 Al-Ghashiyah, verse 20.
And at the earth, how it is spread out.
The earth's landscapes are arranged with varying altitudes, creating natural diversity. Higher altitude areas are often inhospitable due to thinner air and challenging terrain, which naturally limits human habitation and preserves these regions. Meanwhile, the majority of the land exists at an optimal altitude, making it suitable and convenient for human life. This careful balance ensures that most of the earth is accessible and livable, facilitating agriculture, transportation, and settlement. Additionally, certain regions are naturally difficult to reach due to mountains, deserts, or dense forests. These inaccessible areas play an important role in maintaining ecological balance and protecting natural resources, while the easily accessible areas provide the necessary resources for human survival. Interestingly, the Earth's design reflects a hierarchy of accessibility, resources that are essential for human life, such as fresh water, fertile soil, and arable land, are located in areas that are generally easier for people to utilize, whereas less essential or potentially hazardous resources are often more difficult to access. This careful orchestration extends beyond mere convenience. The varied landscapes and controlled distribution of resources also encourage stewardship, planning, and sustainable use. Humans are challenged to engage with their environment responsibly, reflecting the wisdom and guidance of the Creator. The precise arrangement of land, altitude, accessibility, and resources illustrates a deliberate and purposeful design. It is clear that such perfect balance cannot be the result of chance, but rather indicates the presence, knowledge, and authority of Allah, the Exalted, as the sustainer and planner of all creation. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, often experienced deep grief over those who rejected or neglected the guidance of Islam. His compassion for humanity was so profound that their refusal to accept the truth weighed heavily upon him. However, Allah, the Exalted, repeatedly reminded him that his role was not to enforce belief upon anyone, nor to lament excessively over their choices. His responsibility was to convey the message of Islam clearly, to embody its teachings perfectly, and to leave the ultimate outcome to Allah, the Exalted. Chapter 88 Al-Ghashiyah, verses 21-22.
So remind you are only a reminder. You are not over them, a controller.
These verses convey timeless guidance for all who call others to righteousness. They clarify that the duty of a caller to truth is not to coerce belief, nor to measure success by the number of followers, but to deliver the message with sincerity, clarity, and compassion. Guidance belongs solely to Allah, the Exalted, who opens and closes hearts as He wills. This understanding frees the caller from grief, frustration, or despair when their efforts appear to bear no visible results. It teaches that true success lies in faithfulness to the task, not in worldly recognition or numerical outcomes. Those who genuinely seek guidance will respond when they encounter it, while those who remain arrogant or heedless only harm themselves. The sincere seeker also recognizes that Allah, the Exalted, never places a burden on a soul beyond its capacity. Every trial is an opportunity for growth in patience, discipline, and faith. Peace, both in this world and the hereafter, requires sacrifice, restraint, and mastery over one's lower desires. True contentment is not found in wealth, status, or fame, but in submission to Allah, the Exalted. This reality becomes evident when one observes those who possess every worldly advantage, yet remain restless, anxious, and dissatisfied. Their material abundance cannot compensate for the spiritual emptiness created by disobedience and heedlessness. For those calling to truth, the focus must remain on fulfilling their duty, embodying the teachings of Islam, sharing the message with compassion, and entrusting the outcome to Allah, the Exalted. Success lies in obedience and sincerity, not in compelling others or attaining worldly acclaim. By embracing this perspective, the caller transforms anxiety into serene trust, frustration into perseverance, and hope into reliance upon the mercy and justice of Allah, the Exalted. In doing so, they become a living example of faith, demonstrating that guidance is a divine gift and that human responsibility is simply to convey the message faithfully while leaving the accountability to Allah, the Exalted. Even though Allah, the Exalted, does not compel people to accept guidance, this freedom does not absolve them from responsibility or shield them from accountability. Chapter 88 Al-Ghashiyah, verses 23-24.
However, he who turns away and disbelieves, then Allah will punish him with the greatest punishment.
In this world, those who persist in disobedience prevent themselves from achieving a balanced mental and physical state, which in turn causes disorder in every aspect of their life. Family, friends, career, and wealth, which are intended to be sources of comfort and stability, instead become sources of stress and confusion. Persistent disregard for divine guidance often leads individuals to misattribute blame to the wrong people or circumstances, such as spouses, colleagues, or friends, further disrupting their relationships and social life. When these good relationships are severed, the disruption amplifies, increasing the risk of mental health struggles including depression, addiction, and even suicidal tendencies. This pattern is evident when observing those who misuse the blessings granted to them, such as wealth, fame, or influence, without aligning their actions with divine guidance. Despite enjoying worldly luxuries, their inner lives remain unsettled, and they fail to attain the peace of mind that comes from obedience to Allah, the Exalted. Their negligence in preparing for accountability on Judgment Day leads to consequences far graver than any worldly discomfort. Chapter 88 Al-Ghashiyah, verses 25 to 26.
Indeed to us is their return. Then indeed upon us is their account.
It is essential for a person to regularly evaluate their own deeds, as no one possesses a more accurate awareness of their actions than themselves, except Allah, the Exalted. Honest self-assessment encourages sincere repentance for sins and motivates one to engage in righteous deeds, which includes utilizing the blessings granted by Allah, the Exalted, in ways pleasing to Him. This practice nurtures peace of mind in both worlds, by fostering a balanced mental and physical state, and ensuring that everything and everyone in one's life is placed in its proper context. Conversely, neglecting to assess one's deeds fosters heedlessness. Such individuals misuse the blessings they have been granted, resulting in imbalance in both mental and physical states, and disorder in their relationships, responsibilities, and priorities. Even if they enjoy worldly comforts, their lives become fraught with stress, conflict, and difficulties. Moreover, their negligence prevents them from preparing adequately for their accountability on Judgment Day, leading to severe punishment in the hereafter. For these individuals, the weighing of deeds will be profoundly challenging and may result in being cast into hell. A practical analogy can be drawn from the world of business. A wise business owner routinely evaluates their accounts, ensuring that the business remains on track, that profits are preserved, and that obligations such as tax returns are accurately completed. In contrast, a negligent business owner fails to monitor their accounts, resulting in losses, mismanagement, and penalties that complicate their life further. Similarly, failing to assess one's deeds before the scales of Judgment Day carries consequences far more severe than monetary penalties. The burden of accountability is immense and truly unbearable. Chapter 99 Az-Zalala, verses 7 to 8.
So whoever does an atom's weight of good will see it. And whoever does an atom's weight of evil will see it.
A person must also strive not only to avoid sins, but to avoid using their blessings in vain. Vain actions may not constitute sin, yet they are not counted as righteous deeds and thus contribute nothing to the reward on Judgment Day. Reflecting on these missed opportunities can produce deep regret, especially when one realizes that even small efforts, if properly directed, could have tipped the scales of judgment in their favor. In fact, sometimes a minor difference between the good and bad deeds recorded may determine whether a person attains salvation or faces damnation. Regular self-reflection, repentance, and mindful use of blessings, therefore, are crucial for both worldly balance and eternal success. They ensure that a person maximizes the benefit of their life, safeguards their mental and physical well-being, and prepares appropriately for the ultimate accountability before Allah, the Exalted. To conclude, a person must accept and act upon Islamic teachings for their own benefit, even when these teachings contradict their personal desires. They must conduct themselves like a wise patient who accepts and follows the medical advice of a skilled doctor, knowing that the treatment is ultimately for their well-being, even if it involves bitter medicine or a strict diet. Just as this patient eventually attains good mental and physical health, so too does the person who embraces and implements Islamic teachings. This is because the only one who possesses the complete and perfect knowledge required to ensure that a person achieves a balanced mental and physical state, and correctly places everything and everyone within their life, is Allah, the Exalted. The understanding of the human mind and body possessed by society, despite extensive research, will never be sufficient to achieve this outcome. Human beings cannot resolve every issue a person may face. Their advice cannot shield one from all forms of mental and physical stress, nor can their guidance ensure that a person correctly prioritizes everything and everyone in their life. These limitations arise from restricted knowledge, limited experience, lack of foresight, and the presence of personal biases. Allah, the Exalted, alone possesses perfect knowledge, and He has granted humanity access to this knowledge through the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This truth becomes evident when one observes the difference between those who use their blessings according to Islamic teachings and those who do not. The contrast between these two groups is clear in their conduct, their emotional stability, and the outcomes of their choices. Even though patients often do not understand the science behind the medicines they are prescribed, and therefore trust their doctor without full comprehension, Allah, the Exalted, does not expect people to follow Islam blindly. Instead, He invites them to reflect upon its teachings so that they may recognize its truthfulness and appreciate its positive effects on their lives. He calls people to approach Islam with insight, not imitation. Chapter 12 Yusuf, verse 108.
Say, this is my way, I invite to Allah with insight, I and those who follow me.
In addition, as Allah the Exalted alone controls the spiritual hearts of people, the true abode of peace of mind, He alone determines who attains tranquility and who does not. Chapter 53 and Najm, verse 43.
And that it is He who makes one laugh and weep.
It is therefore clear that Allah the Exalted grants peace of mind only to those who use the blessings He has given them in the correct manner, as outlined in Islamic teachings. Those who live according to divine guidance attain clarity, balance, and inner stability, while those who misuse their blessings fall into confusion, imbalance, and distress. True peace, mental, physical, and spiritual, comes only from living according to the wisdom revealed by Allah the Exalted, and from recognizing that His guidance is the only path that leads to tranquility in both worlds. Chapter 16 and Nahl, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
All praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds, and may peace and blessings be upon His final messenger, Muhammad, His noble family and companions.